God is the one who gave you the intellect to do the things you do. And if it weren't for God, you wouldn't have what you have. So ask God to think about it, and don't guilt yourself into things. How does God want you to take care of your family that he gave you with? Take care of your spouse that he gave you with. And then number 3, a budget should be based on goals. 3 areas: saving, spending, and giving. The wise person sits down and decides how much they're going to save, how much they're going to spend, and how their goals. Okay, number 3, the third principle. It's from Proverbs 15, 6 and 7. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. Better is a meal of vegetables where there is love than a fatted calf with hatred. And this is the principle of enjoy what you have. Enjoy what you have. It's better to have a little in the fear of the Lord than great wealth with turmoil. This is just enjoying what God has given you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals and be working toward things, and that's right, you should. But being satisfied with what you have. You ever met anybody that was so caught up in goals that they don't seem to notice anybody around them? They just keep going and going. This principle of not being content is being violated all across the world, and especially in America. It's the principle of wanting too much too fast. And everybody is exhausted from overwork, for coming home and doing, and there is so much to get done that we're worn out. There are some things more important than money. And growing up, would you rather have had steak and baked potato for every meal, or know you were loved? What gives you a healthy life? What blesses you for your entire life is growing up in a home where you know you're loved. One of the greatest threats to this, though, is overcommitment. Overcommitting ourselves to do, to say, to earn, and we never have time for one another. So what's the solution? Solomon says, learn to be content. 1 Timothy 6, 6 through 8 says, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain we can carry nothing out. And therefore, having food and raiment, let us be content. Somebody asked when Howard Hughes died, how much did he leave behind? And the answer was, all of it. All of it. But the problem with our society is you and I are fed this discontentment. Because you know, if you use this certain deodorant, women will swoon over you. If you drive this certain car, you will obviously get a promotion in your job. If you have a certain size house, people will look up to you. Why do we buy into that? But that's what the television teaches, that's what the magazines teach, and that's what the catalogs teach. You don't have enough. If you had just one more thing, your life would be better. If one thing makes your life better, you don't have much of a life. Because when it comes to the end of your life, and maybe you're laying in a bed there all by yourself, and you've achieved all you wanted financially, but nobody's with you, you've failed. You've failed. And the problem with our society is that we have made things our God. And that's why ministers talking about money makes people so uncomfortable, even angry. Preacher, you're in my business. Well, let me let you in on something you probably already know. Your money's not your money. God gave it to you, and it's His. And when you're gone, it'll still be His. You just get to use it for a while. Number 4, it brings us to number 4. It's from Proverbs 11, 24 and 25. One man gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. And this is the principle of sharing with others in need. Sharing with others in need. The Bible basically says you can't outgive God, that when you bless other people, you're going to be blessed. Proverbs 19:17, he who is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward him for what he has done. I guess I need for you to know, nobody knows how high God's interest rate is, but it's the best you'll ever get. And he will bless when you make a difference in other people's lives, because that's who God is. What's the most famous verse in the Bible? For God so loved the world that he gave. That he gave. And we who follow him are encouraged to do that. Folks, you can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. You hear that? You can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. And that's why I encourage people to give. When they're feeling blessed, when they're feeling loved, or even struggling, it is an expression of your faith. Proverbs 22:9, a generous man will himself be blessed. Giving will bless you. So we've talked about keeping good records, planning your spending, enjoying what you have, and sharing with those in need. And then number 5, Proverbs 3:9, honor the Lord with all your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. And that's basically tithing. Tithing, giving the first 10% back to God. Now, every time I say that someplace, you know the first question that always comes back, don't you? Is that net or gross? Right? It's a gift. If you need to be that sure about it, then you need to pray about it. Because if you're getting finely tuned and it's very minute, you're missing what it's about. You have a chance to honor God. Do you think God created tithing for his benefit? Do you think God needs our money? Do you think God couldn't do anything God wanted to do? God gave us tithing for us. You know, when I first met Paula and fell in love with her, I couldn't spend enough money on her. Then once we married, I found ways to not spend money on her, but to show her that I loved her. Tithing is a way of showing God you love God. And tithing has 3 purposes. It has a past purpose. It shows the gratitude that we've been given something by God. God has blessed us in the past, so we're honoring him. Tithing also reminds us of the present. Deuteronomy 14:23. The purpose of tithing is to teach you to put God first in every area of your life. So tithing helps you honor the past. It helps you to focus on the present. And then third, it's a step for the future. It's a step for the future. I'm going to give God because I know it will be a blessing in some way. Somebody described tithing as like this. An old man's walking across the Mojave Desert, and he's dying of thirst, and he gets to a place where there's obviously this old rickety pump well. And there is a jar hanging on the pump and a note inside. And he takes the note out, and it says, dig 1 foot down, and you'll get enough water to put in the jar, and then pour it in the pump and pump it, and you'll get all the water you need. Some people settle for just the water dug 1 foot down. But there's so much more God has for you if you will prime the pump. If you will take some things and honor him with what he's done. The big verse there found in Malachi 3:8-11 basically says, God says in the only place in the Bible, I dare you to tithe. I dare you to tithe and test me. You test me to see if I'll bless you. And then you will know I'm God.